Let me hear it. Should the Falcons have made a trade? The NFL trade deadline has passed, and no moves were made by Terry Fontenot and company. So sound off for me in the comment section below while the intro rolls. The NFL trade deadline has come and gone, and I'm not too disappointed because I'm not very surprised. I didn't think the Falcons were going to make an aggressive move because they didn't really have a ton to work with. But on the other hand, they're sitting at 6-3 and they're dead last in sacks. I mean, they had 3 sacks last game and they are still 32nd, and they are the only team that is not in double digits for sacks so far. So I thought those stats right there might be enough for the Falcons to put together a trade that maybe they felt was a little bit of an overpay, but if it gets them out of dead last in sacks, it would probably be worth it. So the name that everyone was circling was Azeez Ojulari, and unfortunately about 45 minutes before the trade deadline, Garofalo got this tweet out saying the Giants will likely retain Ojulari. My guess is the Falcons said, hey, what's the asking price? The Giants said a 4th-round draft pick. The Falcons then looked at their draft capital and noticed, well, if we deal our 4th-rounder, there's a huge drop from 1st and 2nd round all the way to round 7. So we can't give up that 4th-round pick. Is there any wiggle room? And the Giants said no. Was it a good move by the Giants to hold on to a guy on an expiring deal when he's not even starting? Probably not. Are the New York Giants a very well-run organization over the last decade? No. Am I surprised? Sadly, not really. So, no Ojulari, no Zadarius Smith, no Baron Browning, no Preston Smith. 3 other guys that were traded for not too much, but they all have their pros and cons. So now we kind of pull up our bootstraps and realize no one's walking through the door to save this pass rush. It's up to the guys on the roster. It's up to Arnold Ebiketie to build off of maybe one of his best games of his NFL career against the Cowboys. Matthew Judon, who the Falcons gave up a very costly 3rd-round draft pick, and he simply has not showed up so far this season. James Smith-Williams, a cheap free agent signing. Can he give us something to talk about? Grady Jarrett probably needs to have, a career second half of the season with a banged-up Achilles after getting injured in the win over Dallas. What about some pressure up the gut from David Onyemata? They're just going to have to lean on the guys on this roster. And in all likelihood, they weren't going to get someone at the trade deadline who was going to come in and completely save the day. But like I said in my last video, I don't need someone to save the day. I need someone to improve this pass rush from 32nd to 24th. They just can't be bottom 1. They can't be bottom 3 if they're going to be legitimate contenders in the playoffs, because the teams that can get away with that have quarterbacks like Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. I like Kirk Cousins, and he's been doing phenomenal this season, but I don't think he's quite talented enough to overcome a 32nd ranked pass rush when the playoffs roll around. So, disappointed, sure. Surprised, not really. It didn't seem like the Falcons were going to be all that aggressive, and time will tell whether or not that was a good decision by them. If we see Zadarius Smith and the Detroit Lions beat the Falcons in the NFC Championship game because Smith sacked Kirk Cousins on 3rd and 10 to knock him out of field goal range, well, we could probably look at that moment right there and go, man, I wish he was on Atlanta's sideline. And all it cost was a 5th-round draft pick, and sure, the Falcons don't have one, but you told me they couldn't make a couple of moves, give up their 4th and get a 5th round back from Cleveland, something like that. But Fontenot decided to keep his wallet in his pocket. And it's a little frustrating because I feel like this team is super talented and they have the capability of going far. I mean, look around the NFC right now. Let's do a quick head count here. Start at the NFC East. The team to beat has a rookie quarterback in Jaden Daniels. I like my chances against them in the playoffs. NFC North, there's a lot of competitive teams right there, but the Vikings are somewhat coming crashing down to earth. The Packers just got their shit pushed in, and the Lions are missing Aiden Hutchinson. But they just added Zadarius Smith. It could have been like getting 2 guys at once. Not only do you gain a player like Zadarius Smith, but you also keep Detroit away from Zadarius Smith. And then in the NFC West, the Cardinals, that's the team leading the division. Yeah, this seems like a good year for the Falcons to make maybe a more aggressive move and try and be all in. That's my 2 cents on it. I've got 98 more cents to give, though, in just a moment. But first, I do want to give a quick shout-out to our sponsor today, and that is Game Time. Game Time has so many cool features, like an all-in pricing option. And when you toggle it, it'll show you the best. It will take out the, extra fees and whatnot that you don't see at the beginning because it shows you the total upfront cost. That way, there are no surprises when you get to the checkout. You know exactly what you are paying. They also have Game Time Picks, which filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals. So you don't spend 30 to 60 minutes comparing prices across different sites. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHAT Sports for $20 off. I put all that information because I love you all in the comments and description of today's video. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. So let's review the edge rusher trades that happened. So Darius Smith went to the Lions for basically a 5th rounder. They swapped 6th and 7th. So how could the Falcons have done this if they really wanted to? They would have had to have given up their 4th round draft pick and then gotten back maybe a 5th or a 2-6 from the Browns. So the Browns don't have a 5th round draft pick. They do now, but they could have gotten 2-6 back from Cleveland, which would kind of balance out to giving up a 4th. So that's how you probably could have gotten Darius Smith, but Fontenot didn't want to part ways with a 4th rounder for a 32-year-old guy. And listen, it's a gamble. I'm not going to say anything's a guarantee, but I would like to have seen a little bit more aggression. I mean, it cost us 6 for Baron Browning. Give up a future 6 or a 2/7. I mean, something like that. And it seems like a deal could get done with Denver. This wasn't too high of an asking price. And Baron Browning, a player who has unfortunately had some injuries in the last couple of years, but has some really good flashes. And I mean, the bar's not very high for for Atlanta pass rushers right now. And then the other trade, this one, people are going to have some jaw-dropping moments over. Preston Smith for Justin 7th. They could have gotten him for a 7th rounder. Yes, but you also have to remember you also get all of Preston Smith, all of his contract. He's got 2 more years beyond this season on his contract, over the age of 30, and not cheap deals either. So I know people are going to look at this as maybe the steal of the day, just a 7th, that's all. I don't understand NFL trades. Well, the Steelers are also taking on a big contract. So this one, while it would have been nice for the short term, I won't push back on too much because long term, if things don't go well, you got a bad contract on your books. So like I said a few minutes ago, these are the guys that we have to turn to now. I mean, there is no one that's going to come through this door and dramatically turn things around. But there were guys that could have come through this door and helped turn things around. And that, to me, seems like a worthy thing to pursue. If I'm thinking about what needs to happen for the second half of the year, it's got to start with Judon. I mean, that's a player you gave up a 3rd-round draft pick for, and through the first half of the season has shown you 1.5 sacks. And I think all that came in the first 3 weeks of the season. It's been a little while since we got a highlight from Judon. So that's the player I'm going to single out. I mean, he said it himself. He would give himself a D so far this year. That was a few weeks ago, and it's probably gone down to an F because he hasn't produced since then. So this coaching staff, Jimmy Lake, Raheem Morris, they got to get busy because there is no one that Fontenot is going to bring in to try and improve this pass rush. So it's up to the guys in the locker room. Hopefully the Falcons can either find a way to put up 30 points every single week because they're probably going to have to do that to win in the playoffs, or this pass rush can figure it out on their own. I mean, they're all highly paid individuals. I think sometimes, myself included, we get suckered into thinking that based on a early sample size from a player, they are not going to change. No, we see it all the time in sports. Guys get hot, guys get cold. Now's the time for the Falcons pass rush to get hot, though. I mean, I don't know how much more of a fire they need lit under them because the eyes of Atlanta are on this pass rush. I know that sounds a little bit dramatic, but let's be honest. When was the last time this city was so excited about this team? It's been almost a decade. And there's only one squeaky wheel, the pass rush. So, yeah, there's a lot of pressure on these guys. But someone's got to be a hero. Someone's got to put a cape on. So, we'll end the video once again by asking you, should the Falcons have made a trade? Let me know in the comment section below. Make sure to like the video and subscribe, by the way, as well. If you enjoy the free content we put out, we can get more content out with more subscribers because that's the way it works at Chat Sports. The bigger the channel, the more resources devoted to you, so more watch parties, fun things like that. So make sure to subscribe and like down below, and I'll see you guys later.